This interview with the gentleman Josh Hill was recorded on July 20, 2016. 10 days later, Josh will be fighting in the main event of World Series of Fighting 32, Moraes vs. Hill 2, in a rematch with the bantamweight champion Marlon Moraes. Here are the thoughts of Josh Hill on the upcoming rematch at Xfinity Arena in Everett, Washington.
Oh,
Hey, it's Steve Jewin from MMA Mania. It's good to talk to you again. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm looking forward to this big fight you got coming up with Marlon Moraes. Your second chance at him to try to take that bantamweight title. So, first question, how's camp going?
Good, good. I just got back actually Sunday. I was out in Sacramento again, off Team Alpha Male, where I always go. But yeah, it's been good.
How was the workout there? How's everybody in Alpha Male right now?
Great. It's just a room full of killers in there, and Lance is fighting the same card as me, so it was good to have a guy gearing up for the same day, same card. So, but yeah, the coaching's great there. Like always, I got guys like Justin Buckles and Holdsworth and Danny Castillo kind of running the show now, and it's really good.
It's a good coincidence, too, with both you being on this card, because we're also doing a video package series on Palmer. Is anybody following you around with a camera right now?
No, I don't got no camera going on. I guess he's special, eh?
Well, we'll have to put somebody on that. But how do you feel about the fact that this is a double header with 2 title fights and 2 rematches? How does that work for you?
I dig it. I like it, man. It's I've been wanting this for a while, and I know, he immediately wanted a rematch because he felt he won that fight. So it's awesome, and to have to be the main and co-main event with a friend and a training partner, it's pretty sweet.
Well, he does definitely have an argument with it being a 48-47 decision across the board. It was very close, but the first Moraes fight, it wasn't quite as close, 49-46. Do you think there's maybe a round or two that should have been flipped in that, or did you agree with those scores after?
I think, it was a lot closer than the scorecards indicate. I definitely won the first round. I thought I won the 4th round, and I thought I did enough to maybe win the 5th round. I know that takedown at the end probably played a huge factor. I gave him for sure rounds 2 and 3. But, yeah, I don't know. It was close, and there was no round, that was dominant really for either guy. So it was a close fight, but, I don't want it to leave it, like that again with the judges, so.
Well, if there was any dominant round in that fight, it probably was the first round, which I scored for you because you tagged him with a pretty good shot and had some blood flowing from his nose.
Yeah, I hit him with a nice uppercut, and I busted his nose, and I kicked him had a nice head kick on him too. So I definitely did the more, I think, physical damage in the fight, looking wise. I think he just threw more volume at me, but didn't land as many devastating shots. But just because somebody looks a lot more beat up than the other guy doesn't always necessarily mean he won the fight, right? So.
Right. It's not pride scoring, unfortunately. You can't win just based on the overall fight.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you plan to do this time to counteract that, to not have to worry about how the judges are going to score it?
I'm gonna just tweak a few little things, and looking back on the fight, there's a couple of things that I didn't do that I would like to do more of. Just basically little things. I was, overall, I was happy with the performance. I felt good, and I felt I fought a good fight. But there's a couple of things that I'd like to do more of. Really kind of keep the pressure on him this time. I think after the first round and the first fight, I kind of took my foot off the gas a bit in rounds 2 and 3, and then I amped it back up in 4 and 5. So I don't want to give that break. So I want to just keep my foot on the gas the whole fight.
So really then it's just a matter of cardio, is having even more in the tank so you don't have to slow down at all?
Yeah. I was in great shape the first fight, but I think, in your head, it's, you're thinking, 5-round title fight versus one of the best guys. You just kind of want to make sure you have some gas left if it goes the distance. But, now I know I'm in good shape. I know I can go 5 rounds now for sure. Just keep pushing that pace.
So you're currently on a 4-fight win streak coming into this rematch. Which of those 4 fights is the one that you feel best showcases why people need to tune in for this rematch?
They're all really different. My first fight back, I think, probably because it was coming after my first professional loss, and I really wanted to make a statement, and it was in like 10 minutes from my hometown, so I had everybody there. So that one kind of sticks out the most because it was, like I said, hometown, and I really wanted to get right back in that win column, and it was against the former World Series fighting title challenger too. So, but they're all good. One was in Romania, so that was an awesome experience. One was in Vegas again for World Series versus 16-0 undefeated Russian. So that was a huge challenge, and I'm really happy. I got the win, and took somebody's away, which is always fun to do. And my last fight was versus Bendy Casimir, a WC vet. That was probably the most awkward guy I've ever had to face. All he did was throw spinning back fists and dove for my legs to try and go for heel hooks and whatnot. So dealing with a whole bunch of different styles of fighters, and I think it's helped me. I've experienced everything now.
That's a lot of stuff I can delve into. So the rear naked choke, Josh Rettinghouse, that was an impressive comeback after your first loss, but we haven't seen any form of submission or finish since then. So is that something that's just been elusive to you, or is it just you had the perfect stylistic opponent in that fight?
No, my last fight with Rettinghouse, I really just wanted to mix it up. Really, I wanted to go on the feet, but actually what made me want to go to the ground towards the end of the fight was the canvas was actually just really, really, really slippery. So I didn't want to throw any kicks or anything. I'd end up on my back or whatnot, so I just took him down and then ended up getting the sub. But my other fights, just kind of the way it played out. I like to get the finish, of course, but just the way, I had to fight against those guys, and the way their styles were matched up against mine, just ended up going to a decision. But I definitely want the finish for sure. I don't want to leave in the judges again.
All right. Now, with the fight in Romania, I'm not sure how to pronounce this guy's name, so maybe you can help me with it. Is it Ian? I don't even know.
Yeah, I think it's like Ian or something like that.
Okay. So when you fought Ian, what was the experience like traveling to Romania and just the MMA culture there? How does it compare?
It was like awesome. I was really pumped. It's such a cool place. The only bad thing is I got like food poisoning right before the fight. Yeah, I don't know. I ate some like meat. I think that's the only thing I could think of. But yeah, I was up all night the night before the fight and all day. Just like couldn't keep anything down. So I was worried. Usually, I bounce back like pretty good in my fights. I usually weigh like 148 in the cage. I was only like 142 in the fight. So I didn't really put much weight back on, but, he was a tough guy. But skill set wise, I think I was like really, really far ahead of him. And, I think if I had, my full strength and endurance and wasn't feeling like that, I think I definitely would have finished him. But it was, I felt I won every round pretty dominantly, but the show was actually great. The production was awesome, and the guys were really cool down there. And I'd definitely go back and fight for them again for sure.
It's ironic that you fought a guy from Eastern Europe in your last World Series fight instead of in Romania, and it was a close fight, a split decision. So, do you think again with the scorecards that they were off, or do you think they were right in that case?
No, I definitely think they're off. We were backstage actually talking about, because we were watching backstage before, and the judges were like, I don't know, there were some weird calls that night. That's the night that Lance lost his title too. So it was I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what judge scored it for him. I had me winning every single round. It wasn't like a dominant win, but it was I thought I won the fight in the entirety. But yeah, I don't know, it was really weird, but I definitely came on the right end, which, got the win, but I think it should have been a unanimous decision.
One thing that was pretty evident to me in that third round was your time with Team Alpha Male kind of rubbing off on you, because it kind of was a Uriah Faber-like performance in the third round, and I really thought you were going to get rear naked choke right there at the end.
Yeah, and especially with the hair, actually. But, I think if I maybe had a little bit more time, could have, but, ran out of time. And, he was an awkward guy to fight too, because he's really long and he kept his length really well. So I felt when I came in, I was just like coming up a couple inches short in all my punches. And then I'm getting a couple takedowns, but I didn't get anything secured until the very end. I checked out his back, but yeah, it was, definitely a highly touted guy being 16-0. And it was a good win for sure.
Well, speaking of reach, is that a natural advantage you have coming into this fight, that you've already fought Moraes once before, and you kind of know the distance and you don't have to figure that out all over again?
I think so, but like he's could say the same for me, right? So he knows my reach and my movement. So it's kind of going to be like a battle to see, who's added some more tools to their tool belt, and study their opponent a bit, and can kind of make the adjustments that weren't working for either guy and on the first fight, and kind of capitalize on that. So, but yeah, this is my first ever rematch, so it's pretty cool. And yeah, going back in there with somebody that I've already been in there with and felt and whatnot. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped, man.
I talked to him yesterday, and he said that he expects a completely different fighter, almost like you're a completely different person. Would you agree with him on that?
Yeah, well, talking to him and his coach after our first fight, they that's what they told me. they watched some of my older fights, and then they watched me on Tough, and they said that they told they're training for a completely different fighter. They said I have totally changed and strengthened all my abilities everywhere, and I definitely agree, and I'm going to continue to do that. So yeah, if you watch me in the cage, each time I step in there, I think I get a little bit better and a little bit more confident. I think that was the biggest thing with me before was I knew I had the ability to do it all the time in sparring. A lot of times I didn't show my whole skill set in the cage, and now I'm kind of showing everything. So yeah, I think July 30th I'll be my best.
All right. Well, what about hometown advantage? Because last time you had a partial crowd for you when you fought on the first time, but you're fighting in Everett. Is it still close enough that you feel like you're going to get some pop when you come out for the fight, or what do you think it's going to be like?
I'm not sure. The first fight, it was in Canada, but it was in Edmonton, which is like totally out west, and I'm an East Coast guy.
True.
But yeah, it was still good, obviously being like the hometown countryman. This one, yeah, I don't know. I've never been to Washington. I've actually never even been to BC. So I don't know. We'll see how many Canadians make the trip down. I know it's pretty close to the border. Actually, it's not too far of a drive. So we'll see. I know he's Brazilian, but he lives in the States now. So I think it might be kind of like neutral ground.
It's funny you mention that too, because you're right. East Coast, West Coast, totally different thing. But every time I talk to a Canadian fighter, I'm reminded of what my co-host said, because he's from Ottawa, and he always tells me when it comes to MMA cards in Canada that anybody from any part of Canada on that card, it's like home country advantage, because they're going to pop for the guy whether he's from their part of the country or not.
Yeah, for sure. Canada compared to the States is tiny. And I think wherever they're from, with West Coast or East Coast or wherever, they always cheer for the Canadian for sure.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, anybody that does make the trip to Everett, and we encourage people to do so, because like you said, it's not that far from the border. So hey, people in BC, come on down for the fight, because you're going to want to be there, and it's going to be very loud then if you're there to support.
For sure. That'd be awesome. I'm actually going to drive up to Vancouver after for a couple of days, because I've never been out there, so I've always wanted to check out BC. So
they just announced a big card, a UFC card in Vancouver. I believe Damian Maia and Carlos Condit is the main event, so maybe you'll want to make a trip out again to see that.
That's cool. Yeah, I like to see Carlos fight. I love watching that guy. He's like one of my favorites for a long time. So, but yeah, traveling in Canada is it's retarded expensive. I don't know why, but flying, I could fly to anywhere in the States for a lot cheaper than flying out to BC, which doesn't make any sense, but it's just how it is here.
Well, I guess that works out good for you if you're training with Team Alpha Male, then. It's cheaper to go to Sacramento than it is to go into Canada.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
All right, Josh. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, because I know you got more preparation to do for this fight, but a couple more questions. What's your weight right now before you get down to the final cut?
I'm pretty lean. My weight doesn't fluctuate too much. I'm not one of those guys that like blows up and gets huge. Right now I'm about 148, 149. And then I'll diet down the last week, and then I'll make the final water cut. But yeah, I feel good. I feel, this is pretty much the same weight I'm going to enter back in the cage at. So it's not like I'm jumping back in there and putting a lot of excess weight on that I wasn't carrying during the camp. So I think that's an advantage for me, because I know a lot of guys, they walk around heavier and they get smaller throughout the camp, and then once they put all the weight back on, then they're a little bit slower in the cage and whatnot. So, my weight feels good.
Yeah, there are a lot of bantamweights that walk around at like 160 or 170. It's like, okay, how do you get down for that and then still have any energy left after the fight? I kind of wonder that myself.
Yeah, like I've even questioned about going to 125 just because I've seen some of these bantamweights that are coming in. They're like guys in their, like you said, high 160s, even hitting in the 70s, and I'm just like, man, like I'm sitting here in the, high 40s, low 50s, and these guys are in the same weight class as me.
Yeah, but if you have more energy and more stamina in the fight, then obviously being closer to the actual weight works better for
Yeah.
you. And speaking
Plus,
of
I like
which,
food.
yeah, well, who doesn't? I know I do. But let me ask if you think this trend of early morning weigh-ins is better for fighters, because I've been asking everybody that lately.
Yeah, I'm down with that. I hope they do that. I don't know what the game plan is for this one, if they're going to do it or not, but the quicker I can weigh in, the better. Like, I usually do my cuts, like my water cuts anyway. I start like late the night before, and then I'll just go to bed, and then I'll get up early and finish the second half of it, and then I'm usually kind of sitting around waiting. So if I could get in there and finish the cut in the morning and go right way in and then start rehydrating, that would be ideal.
Well, hopefully that's the plan for Everett. I haven't heard if they're doing it or not, but if they do, it'll make better fighters better fights because everybody will be rehydrated and fresh and healthy when they get in the cage.
Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely all for it.
All right. Well, Josh, I'm going to let you wrap it up here with any closing plugs or sponsors you want to thank, so please go ahead at this time.
Yeah, just thank you to all my sponsors, Liuna, Tip Top Towing, Pitbull Boards, Kimorware. I'm sure there's more that I'm probably leaving out, but I'm just thank you to all my family, friends, and fans, all the support, and thanks for having me on.
No problem. And everybody can follow you on Twitter at Gentleman J Hill, right?
Yep, you got it. Same with my Instagram too.
All right, everybody follow him there, and be sure to watch World Series of Fighting 32, Moraes vs. Hill 2, July 30th at the Xfinity Arena in Everett. Thanks, Josh.
All right, thank you, man. No problem.
Yep, bye-bye.